So I was thinking, right, now that there's 3 people on the screen, we could put the logo on both sides. Because, like, I reckon when you look at it and your brain sees it twice, you're going to think that show's twice as good as any other show. And you're probably going to watch it. And it just sticks in your brain 2 times as opposed to 1 time. And I think that's the main reason, really, to have another person come out. Welcome to the Poproast podcast, everyone. You all know what show you're watching because you can see the name on the screen twice. But do not adjust your monitors. Do not check your glasses. Do not fucking blink. Yes, we know there's 3 of us. We're welcoming our friend today. I think he's our friend. Maybe he'll tell us differently at the time. All right, let me cue you up before you start saying your shit. Like, we got some topics on today that we was like, you know what, me and George are so much of an expert in those topics. What we need is somebody who knows nothing about them to like balance us out. You know what I mean? So we was like, who do we know that knows nothing that will balance us out? And we brought on our good friend Daniel McManus. How are we doing, Daniel McManus? What are we calling you?
You didn't even ask if he wanted to disclose his actual identity. So
are we doing that? Oh, you wanted to be elusive.
Do you want me to bleep it out?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
We could, and we just. I mean,
you only have to type in my name. You only have to type in my name. It will come up anyway. I'm easy to find. So
well, now they're doing it. Now they're doing it. Get those fucking get those stalker fucking DMs in time for Valentine's Day, ladies. You find him. You won't find his name anywhere else. It shouldn't be too hard. You'll track him down. Get that red hot beating heart in your hands and squeeze, much like what we're doing today on this show. So we're all just bleeding each other dry, aren't we? How are you, George? You all right? Let's not forget the regulars.
Yeah, not too bad, man.
You've had a bit of a you're hanging in there proverbially, not literally, because you can't do that at the moment.
No, yeah. I could one with my weak arm, but I wouldn't be hanging very long.
Don't tell them it's your weakened one, because now they know.
No, well, how do they know? Is it left? Is it right? Who knows?
Yeah, maybe the camera's flipped. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had carpal tunnel surgery like a week ago. So I've not been doing a lot except watching films and reading stuff. So, yeah. I think it's success. I showed you the picture earlier. I'm probably not. I mean, I could put an image up of my David Cronenberg worm thing that's underneath this little dress in here, but it's pretty grim. So
yeah,
time off work.
Well, it is. Yeah.
So yeah.
And you're loving that, aren't you, George? Like you said to me your favourite thing was just not having to go to work. You don't like doing anything. You just want your brain to just wander.
I mean, it's excellent to not be able to do the things you really enjoy.
Yeah.
Like work, because work is something I always enjoy.
He loves his job, and he loves it here on this show.
Yeah.
Which you don't need to use your hands.
Editing myself, hearing my own voice.
Because you might look at this show, mightn't you, and you might think like, well, this is fine. He doesn't need. What does he need his fucking hands for? He's just sitting there. He's just fucking spewing up garbage, and he's just got his hands in his lap, or just down by his sides resting when he's talking. You know what I mean? But you don't realise the work that goes into this. You don't understand the taxing, the physical strain. People always talk about like they don't understand how they built the pyramids. I don't understand. I don't understand how George built this podcast. Okay, I don't know what ropes and pulleys he has to engage to get those fucking logs and those rocks up and down those big old steep angles. But that's what it's like when he has to drag us through the fucking mud. So everyone everyone send George a nice little comment in there. Say, get well soon. We hope you can masturbate soon. And
I never masturbate anyway. I only
well,
play.
so everyone, this will pray that one day George can experience like the wonders, the fruits of nature's debauchery. Yeah, you know, don't do this on a tree, everybody. Yeah, absolutely. He's got the other one. He's fine. He's going to be all right. But ladies, send him your well, or gents, send him your well wishes. Send McManus your red hot wishes, and send me just, you know what? Send me the first topic. Don't send me. Okay. I do not accept any kind of holes in my DMs. Please do not bombard me. You know what? I say that, but that'd be good, wouldn't it? If it meant that all those people were watching the show, I would take a couple of arseholes on the chin. You know what I mean? Like if it means good engagement, you know, get those fucking numbers pumping. I take a couple of rectums.
You'll do anything.
I'm secure. I will.
The subs.
Most people, when they're trying to get ahead in show business, they want to do stuff to your rectum. All I'm asking for, you just got to show me yours, and we will let you watch this. You know what? Let's get into some topics.
Yeah, go on. Let's talk.
Fuck me, mate. You put one. It's bad math. You put one extra person on, and the chaos like tenfold. You know. So that's all fun.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
we just wanted to fucking loosen our tongues up a little bit, didn't we? And our wrists. And we want them tight, George. I don't want loose ones in my DMs. All right.
Damn.
I want the finest cuts of butts. All right. There's no way to segue into this. There's no way.
Let's go.
You know, but going from red hot conversations to red hot lands of elements, and we're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's a show coming out. What more do you want from me? You're a fucking poet over here. Give me a break, right? So there's a trailer. There's a trailer for The Last Airbender, Avatar: The Last Airbender, not to be confused with Avatar or Last Airbender, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. Shyamalan? I'm sure I say it differently every time. But we both had a look at the trailer, didn't we? Did you have a look? You had a look. So McManus, tell us, like, are you into this show? Did you watch the cartoon? Was you excited about this, or did you only watch the trailer because we asked you?
It's sacrilegious to say I didn't watch the animated show. I only watched the last movie. I liked that, and when I saw the trailer to this, it seems to have done it. Whoever's making this done it so much justice, and it's it kind of looks like what everyone's actually asked for. And some praises, some people I've seen great praises of it, and I've seen people go, meh, because I think it's gotten to the point everyone's not getting excited how they would do, or it's got to be like groundbreakingly good for everyone to like get noticed. Like,
because anime fans are hard to please, right? Nobody they never like. I mean, you could argue that the reason they've never liked any of the stuff is because they never make it good. But did you get a chance to squeeze this trailer in, George, with all the logo shenanigans? You didn't watch it. He didn't watch it. It's fine.
I watched the Airbender film. Yeah, I've never watched the anime stuff.
Yeah, that's three of us. We got three experts who haven't watched the anime show over here. That's fine. I thought I was the only person in the world who liked the Shyamalan movie. I think it's fine. I think, and again, based on my very surface level understanding of the show, you know, it has all the elements, excuse the pun, but it's got, you know, the characters, they all look like the characters, the storyline, the world, everything is set up the same. They didn't fuck with the lore like some other like big budget adaptations have done. And I will say this, everyone's saying that this is the version they've been waiting for. This is what they had in their minds. And you know why that is? Because this looks like a fucking cartoon. It looks like somebody took the old movie and just dialed the brightness up and put a Netflix logo at the end of it. And stretched it out into like 10 episodes or whatever, however many fucking episodes it is. 8 episodes. February 22nd. I'm going to watch this. I think it looks fine, but I just don't see how anyone could look at this and think it looks radically different from either the animated show or the other movie. I will stand by the fact that the movie just looked like the animated show anyway, but just a movie. You fucking fussy boots. But yeah. So we're all salivating at the bit for this. Clearly, we're all chomping away. We love a bit of this, but you know, we know there's a lot of people that are passionate about this. One Piece went down pretty well, it seems, with the anime fans, even though they're hard to please. This looks tonally in line with that. I mean, if I was a cynical person, I would say that this looks like Percy Jackson went to Asia, but I'm not going to say that yet, but it does. All right.
You just said it.
Again, I don't know nothing about Percy Jackson either, but it's not even like the content of it. Just, you know what I mean? It's just that it's got that YA kind of fantasy tone, which is obviously what it is aiming to be. So that's fine. I just don't feel any. I don't know. They're not adding. It doesn't look like they're adding much to this, other than, you know, just real Asian people.
CGI, yeah, and the CGI budget, it must be ridiculous for this movie. Because
it looks good. It does look good. Yeah. Effects look great, but I had no problem with the effects in the other one. I'm not. My point is, I'm not seeing yet why they really needed to redo this, other than it's just a thing that has a fan base, you know. So hopefully there's more to it than what we're seeing. TV show trailers are always tricky. You know, because how much do you just show a trailer for like the first episode? Do you want to show stuff in the trailer that's from like the last episode, but then you don't really want to give away the plot, but then you also want people to see the big finale, because that's the kind of stuff you would generally put in a trailer, right?
Yeah. Then you have studios who like putting the entire this is the whole show in one trailer. Oh, great, thanks. No need to watch the show now.
Cancel subscription. Bye.
Yeah. So moving on from things that man babies like to
think that
bitch about to real manly stuff.
Oh yeah, this stuff is for the real men. You know, because if you don't like people coming out in colourful costumes, you know, saying ridiculous things, throwing barbs at each other, just all this unnecessary drama, then maybe UFC isn't for you, you know? Low-hanging fruit, everybody. But I got them real good, didn't I? Oh, those UFC guys are going to be... You hear that?
Alpha blood.
You know what I mean? Here we go.
Conor McGregor is knocking at your door.
Do you reckon? What do you reckon the Venn diagram crossover potential is between the people who would beat me up and the people that would send me pictures of their buttholes? Because I reckon I'm going to be seeing the same people. I reckon it could be the same group. But anyway, another trailer.
Wow.
Same kind of arseholes. Just arseholes knocking at my door, knocking in my DMs.
In all seriousness, but
in all seriousness,
UFC is an arsehole. So some people just like
it's a sport. It's a sport. You know, it takes a certain kind of person to want to participate in such a crazy, brutal, you know, ridiculous sport that, you know, and it takes a special kind of actor to want to throw themselves into that kind of unpredictable, you know, cutthroat environment. But who better than Academy Award winner. I want to say winner. I'm sure he's a winner. He's a winner in our.
Should have.
He's a winner in our hearts here at the Poproast podcast. Okay, but Jake Gyllenhaal, I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
He's in remake of Roadhouse. They've been talking about doing a Roadhouse remake for like 15 years. At one point, Ronda Rousey was attached to star. That was never going to go down well. You know, that's a bit too making Patrick Swayze a woman in my day and age.
Was that the angle? I didn't know that was the possible.
Yeah, Ronda Rousey is a woman. I mean, she will beat you up like a man, but she will treat you like a woman too if you're nice. I don't know. I haven't asked, but either way, she wasn't nice because she's off the Roadhouse remake. Jake Gyllenhaal comes in, directed by Doug Liman. That's not a joke of a director. That's a serious dude. You know, he did Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He did Swingers. You know, he did Edge of Tomorrow. This is a guy who's been around the block a few times. And he's got one of the world's biggest stars, Gyllenhaal, one of the biggest UFC stars, Conor McGregor, in a remake of a cult classic movie. You know, what could go wrong? First of all, did we like the trailer? And then I'll tell you what went wrong.
We watched that first one, didn't we, a while back?
It was like a short, like teaser, yeah. But they did do like a little one, and now this is the first full trailer.
Added Conor McGregor in there, showing you a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, looks all right.
The trailer was good, but everyone hyping up Conor McGregor. It's like, oh look, I heard they made this movie together. It's like, yeah, you're jumping on the Conor McGregor train, and everyone's like, when he was trying to beef up, everyone's thinking he's beefing up for his UFC return, but it was him beefing up for this movie because then he says, it was some article I saw that he did all his own stunts for this. Well, did you nut him or not?
Yeah.
They say, well, by stunts he means like getting punched in the face, right? Like he's not, you know, he's not flipping a monster truck over the Grand Canyon. I don't imagine.
Maybe we won't know till we see it. There might be more action than just fighting.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's my issue with this trailer. It looks, because I had to look this up afterwards because going into the trailer I thought this is going to be R-rated, and then I watched the trailer. I'm like, that doesn't look R-rated, and I looked it up. Turns out it is, but this was just a very sanitized, kind of glossy, safe trailer. They were obviously playing up to Conor McGregor, who's
playing up to the UFC
absolutely he's got a well-earned, well-deserved audience. A lot of those people are probably not going to say a bad thing, regardless of how he is in the movie. I think a lot of movie fans will probably be quite critical of his performance. It does kind of look like he's doing like Jason Momoa light, kind of,
like
I mean, what
type?
Yeah, he's just a smiley, smarmy villain. I mean, what else are you going to, this is why this is his first role, because it's basically him, right? So we probably shouldn't expect too much in those terms. But I don't know. There is that goofy comic relief bad guy who kept getting his arm broken or whatever, and he kept making it's like, really, dude? You're getting like, this dude's like caving your face in and snapping your arm, and you're just like saying, oh yeah, but he's pretty good though, right? Like, no, this dude's fucking ruining you.
No, I just broke his arm.
Yeah, I don't know. I would hope that there would be a little bit more realness and a bit more grit to this, as well as being like a big, like, sort of like buddy bro kind of action fight movie. I think, the original very much had some savage levels of grit to it. I won't repeat the stuff, but you all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Did you ever see him, Mass? The Swayze version, the original?
Yeah.
You're familiar with the stuff that gets said and done in that movie. We don't want to do any of that here.
I think about 10 years ago, I was like subjected to every Swayze movie out at the point. So like, it just got put on a Swayze binge. And I get why these movies are all cool, but I don't need to ever watch them again. Like,
I'm glad that's what you said, though. Because when you said 10 years ago, I was like, oh, he's going to say 10 years ago I was in prison and the weirdest thing happened. You know, this guy was not taking no for an answer. You know what I'm saying? And then he said to me, when he was doing it, he said, I'm going to tell other people about this later as a threat to them to make them more intimidated when I'm about to do it to them in a bar. Nah, it's rough times. But you know who's having a rough time? And this brings us full circle. What I said, what could go wrong? Okay, you've got all the makings here of like a pretty solid money maker. This probably didn't cost loads. Like I say, big stars, big IP. Enter Amazon, everybody. That's right. They're messing around Doug Liman. He's not a happy man. This isn't just a trailer review. This is another section of who's popping off because Doug Liman is absolutely popping off. Would you like to hear the quote? Have you heard about this stuff?
I had perused the article that you sent.
He perused. That's why we got a smooth mamma jamma.
Yeah, I've got to say, so I perused it as well and basically got the gist of it, saw what he's had to say. And
he's not happy.
I get where he's coming from. Like, how long did he spend on this movie? Like, how long before even starting it was he spent on that? Thinking he could. Go ahead, sorry.
Seeing as neither of you wanted to set me up to say it, I am going to read some of the quotes for the fine people watching who may not have perused the article at a leisurely pace. All right. He says, Mr. Lyman, Sir Lyman himself, says, when Roadhouse opens, the SXSW Film Festival, I won't be attending. The movie is fantastic, maybe my best. That's a bold claim, by the way, as I said. Got a lot of stuff. And I'm sure it will bring the house down and possibly have the audience dancing in their seats during the end credits. But I will not be there. I'm intrigued about the dancing. Is there a big musical finale? My plan had been to silently protest Amazon's decision to stream a movie so clearly made for the big screen. But Amazon is hurting way more than just me and my film. And if I don't speak up about Amazon, who will? So here we go. It's starting to sound like a PSA, isn't it? So I'll breeze through this. So when Amazon bought MGM, one of the few remaining studios making big commercial films for theatrical release, they announced that they would put $1 billion into theatrical motion pictures, releasing 12 a year. They touted it as the largest commitment to cinemas by an internet company. And I can tell you what they did to me and my film Roadhouse, which is the opposite of what they promised when they took over MGM. So yeah, everyone was hired onto this movie under the pretense that this was a theatrical release. I mean, you don't get Doug Liman and Jake Gyllenhaal. You know, those are theatrical names in a time where there's not really a lot of like theatrical names in that way anymore. And I can understand why he's frustrated. Mr. and Mrs. Smith was a massive hit. Most of these movies have been pretty well received and done well financially. So there's absolutely no reason to do this other than some executives are just like penny pinching and they're just a bit worried because they've all had a tough couple of years, boo-hoo, billionaires, you know? So, and again, Conor McGregor, first film, this dude is like, you know, this is like the Michael Jordan of UFC. This dude has been like everywhere for like the last decade, you know. He's got a massive audience. And I think they're probably going to get good numbers off of this, and hopefully they will live to regret it. I wouldn't be surprised if this comes out as a big hit and they do like another screening. You know, there's been a whole load of screenings the last like year for like movies that kind of came out like around the pandy time. So people are like trying to do, like Pixar were doing a whole host of re-releases for their stuff. You know, Soul, Turning Red, etc. So I could see this maybe getting something down the line. I just think it sucks, but also maybe the movie sucks. So maybe they saw something that he did. You know what I mean? He's gonna say my movie's the best movie that I've made. Everyone says that every time they make a movie.
Well,
so maybe it's
had a horrible time making
not,
it, but
yeah. Anyway, I'm interested for this. I'll see it.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't have seen this at the theatre. Yeah, go on, McManus. You excited?
Yeah, well, I honestly believe it's going to be half and half because people have already seen the trailer and they already have this predetermination. Like, I don't like it. I'm going to shit on it anyway, no matter what. And then they're going to get everything with Conor McGregor ever since he snapped his foot live, which was disgusting. He just hasn't been anywhere. Like, he's just been posting about, like, when he was posting about his broken leg. Yeah, and just load of that. So, and now everyone's just get to see him for the first time in a while back on screen. And the McGregor fans out there, like, I was a massive McGregor fan until just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And you can have all them fans just going to watch it. Like, yeah, we've watched it. Now when's he coming back? And that's where I think this is all going to go to.
And he's from what I've seen, he's been relatively quiet on this. But I guarantee you, this is a dude who's like he can't do the UFC anymore. He was the biggest name in the sport for the longest time. First movie, debut. This is the career change now. This is going to be like my The Rock journey to fucking superstardom. And then they just go and pull it. And then they just go and pull it on Amazon Prime. I guarantee you, he is fucking pissed. But he won't say anything because he hasn't got a relationship with Doug Liman. He's been working for the last 20 years. He can say what he wants to say. But Conor McGregor hasn't got those connections in Hollywood. I guarantee you, his publicist told him, "You keep quiet about this. Suck this one up. Yeah. And if your performance is good and people like you, there'll be other, you'll come back and do other stuff." I'm interested to see.
Or it comes out and then he's cleared, and by this time he's gotten what his money's been paid, what he was saying he's going to get paid for. And if you don't like it, he'll shit on it anyway. And he'll come up with something because he's always been outspoken like that. If he doesn't like something, he'll let it know or do a little shitty tweet about it.
That's what I was going to say.
Go on.
Yes. So I was just going to say he's definitely outspoken. He's definitely a character, and he's he's a polarizing character at that. So,
for sure, yeah.
I feel like it could go either way, but I'll check it out. I reckon. I mean, I was a fan. I'm not. We spoke about this before, as far as the 80s action or man films go, that's Roadhouse is kind of a guilty pleasure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Obviously, I say Many Man. Obviously, we like some Arnie 80s classic stuff Commando, Predator, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those sort of action films. Swayze, I didn't really buy him as that sort of character, but in that film,
he's a lover, not a fighter. Yeah.
No. But no, you know what really makes a good movie?
Oh my love. Go on.
So, Sam Elliott and his movie carrying mustache.
Sam Elliott. I mean, he didn't have the full stash there, but
but it's
this was the origin of that was the origin of modern day Sam Elliott, after the westerns and his kind of transitioning into, the old man River that we know now. But that's fine. I mean, I hope it's good. I want it to be good. I could really go for a down and dirty, bare knuckle kind of, fighting kind of movie. And hopefully this, fills that void and doesn't try to get too above and beyond its scope. And maybe Conor McGregor go out there and break a leg or snap a foot or whatever it is he's doing. So I mean, he can take it. I can make fun of that because he can take it and I can't. I can't. You ever see me? You ever see my face when I've snapped a foot? No, because I will die, right? and I'm not stupid enough to put myself. I'm not saying it's stupid, but I know my limits. All right, I'm not putting myself in a situation where I'm going to break a leg because I will not cope. I will cry. There's not enough jelly in the world and grapes for me to make it through that experience. Right?
You say that, and I'm not. God.
So sorry. I try and make see most of the UFC main events, but like it's just fucking long waiting up for that because they start mainly now at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning before you get to the main cards.
I know,
but even he snapped his foot and I saw it and I winced like a little girl. He went down on his ass and then he was still giving it after. It's like, you got some bollocks.
What did he do? Try to start a fight with the floor that he landed on, you know? Whatever, man. I'd lose that fight in the floor. So Conor McGregor, you go get it, Jake. I hope it's good. He looks intense, by the way. We said this when we talked about it before, but he is all up in there.
Yeah, we said that press conference and everything, with the weigh-in and stuff. But yeah, I mean, probably move on anyway.
Yeah. So from one group of sweaty men into another group of sweaty men, some of these dudes are fighting for real on the screen, and unfortunately, there's some battles going on, you know, behind the screen or off the screen, shall we say, over at WWE. A lot of sexual assault allegations going on amidst the Netflix deal. Of course, there's a connection here. This kind of goes out a little bit outside of what we would normally talk about. Hence why we brought in an expert here to help massage in the conversation, you know, lube it up and, you know, hopefully have some knowledge that we don't say lube it up when you talk about sexual assault allegations. I keep, you know what, I never learn the lessons, okay? But sometimes, you know what, I forget what I said earlier. I am a poet and you can't stop this flow it, all right? Moving on.
Yeah, so this scumbag.
Last week, a few days ago, we hear that Netflix have got a crazy, massive deal with WWE. And I'm like, that's weird. I don't know much about wrestling, but I know one thing. This guy does not want to give up control of this company for fucking anything. Cue 3 days or a few days later, and what do we hear? All these allegations are coming out. This dude is potentially the big POS that a lot of people have over the years speculated. There's been rumors, you know, like with any of these big like executive types in the entertainment industry, don't like it. It is what it is. This kind of stuff, you know, abuse of power in the workplace, all this kind of stuff. He's done. Shall I say what the allegations are for a start? Is he's basically been accused of, you know, sex trafficking, using people underneath him as like, you know, in business exchanges, forcing them to do things to, you know, help, you know, the business or to help gratify him, you know, personally, and just a whole bunch of stuff that you do not sign up for when you go into work for most people. Obviously, he denies the allegations. When has anyone never not denied the allegations? Can you imagine when they say, "Oh, well, we've got allegations that you sexually assaulted people"? He's like, "Yep, that was me. Wrap it up. That was me." Like, nobody's doing that, are they?
Isn't it? Here's an NDA. Shut the fuck up. Disappear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was an NDA, George. Take the hint. It was an NDA. Shut the fuck up.
I didn't. That's what you said.
No, I know. He's yeah, of course, and that's been the rumor, right? That he's just handing these things out. You know, this kind of stuff is happening behind the scenes. Do you think there's a correlation, McManus, between this and the selling it to Netflix? Do you think he was just like, the writing's on the wall, my time is up, now it's time to like just sell, get the F out of here, cash in, and at least then I can sort of half save face and say that I gave up the company willingly before I end up getting carted off to jail? And do you think it's going to work out better for the company? And obviously I'm not going to ask you about the sex because obviously we all agree that that's bad, right? So I'm not dismissing that by asking you about the other stuff, just to be clear.
Yeah.
But go on, please.
It's even though like people like our age have been watching wrestlings and people older than us have been watching it since they were kids. So for everyone to have a universal, I'd say is a universal granddad to basically lots of people and to people who are like into WWE, into wrestling with all their heart. And if you've always been a fan of WWE, the company themselves, he's always been like one of the biggest people there. And like it's always nice when like it was always good when McMahon turned up, and everyone thought it's just like the universal granddad, and like
he was a character,
yeah.
Synonymous with
it's like anyone in that business. You've got to have a thick, hard persona to like not only to like present outwardly, but also to like protect yourself because it's such like a brutal industry to work in, I guess.
And for this guy, like all you've heard over years and years and years is just stories, but everyone's just like, it's just Vince. Like, well, he can't do any bad. He's Vince McMahon. It's like he can do a lot. But
a lot of money
absolutely,
and power,
yeah.
Most people in those positions tend to abuse.
Yeah. And obviously, there's loads of text messages, and we're not going to read those because there's some gnarly stuff in there. But it all just implies that, like I say, he's just using this woman as basically as tender. He's just coerced and manipulated people into just whatever you need, whatever I need, whatever my guys need, or other people that maybe not me, for purposes that involve all of these people that we won't get into. It's all bad shit. It's bad shit. But I feel like there's been smoke for a long time on this, and now it's just like it was just only a matter of time before this came out. What do you think happens now, though? Like, you think it's going to benefit? You think it's going to, like, moving into like the Netflix deal side of it? Because they WWE have their own subscription service, right? Is that available in the UK, or is that just a US thing? How does that work for you?
Yeah,
how would this affect you?
This even with I believe I'm going to get it anyway. I'm guaranteed. I bet the subscription price from Netflix is going to go. It's just going to skyrocket.
This ain't a small thing. This ain't a couple of series of a TV show. This is like decades of events every week, right?
And it's what I said the other night. It's like, what are they going to do? Are we just going to get Raw live whatever day they're going to put it on? Like, if it's going to be on actual Mondays or Tuesdays over here, or are we going to get the back catalogue of when Raw versus Raw, like the Monday Night Raws? Are we going to get all that? And it's the first thing they mentioned is like, oh yeah, be prepared because all the classic like
archives,
Raws, all that's going on to Netflix.
From what I can see, it looks like they're going to be uploading the back catalogue throughout the rest of this year. And then at the end of 2024, the WE network will officially shut down. And I'm guessing from that point moving onwards, all the current and, new stuff moving forward will then be released on Netflix. But when they kind of run on a pay-per-view like model, I don't know how that transfers over. Obviously, I can't even imagine how much you even pay for WWE. So they've got a big payout one way or another. And it's not like anything changes for them. They keep shooting the same stuff. They keep making the same shows, the same crew, the same cameras, the same talent or whatever. It's just now they've just had this big lump sum, which I don't think has been disclosed because the number didn't fit on the page, probably. But like, it's going to be interesting to see how sustainable that is moving forward. Does Netflix bring in a pay-per-view? Is there like an extra like add-on package? Because if you can't just
it's going to have to be, right? Because
you can't just bump it up. Yeah. For people who don't have any interest in it, you can't just say, okay, well now Netflix is double the price because you're getting all these WE pay-per-views. Because most people are going to be like, no, we don't want that. So is it going to be like a separate like like what you do on Amazon, where you get like a Shudder or a Stars or, you know, one of these other like supplementary networks, and then you pay an extra, like you get regular Netflix, it's like $9.99. You want it in HD, it's $14.99, and if you want the wrestling, it's like $24.99 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do, because I don't think they're going to. Yeah, to have all your back catalogue for the wrestling, and to get your Monday Night Raw and and SmackDown on a weekly basis. I think that's going to be like at a certain price, but also it's going to be for pay-per-views. I think it'll be an add-on extra 10 to 12 quid from that, but I think that's just going to be like a ridiculous price. I think it really is.
Because all those wrestlers are in contracts as well. So
of course.
Unless Netflix bought out their contracts, they're still going to expect the same amount of money. And as we've discovered from the last couple of years, Netflix don't like paying people. They don't want to do residuals. They don't want to do back-end points. They don't even want to tell you what their viewing numbers are to get back-end points or anything like that. You know, so that money's got to come from somewhere.
I actually never knew that about Netflix until I actually read up about it, and the way that, like how they've gone about that, and how like they don't pay actors for like how many times it's been streamed or anything, like how many times it's been shown.
It's the same with music and Spotify, really.
It's basically the same as Spotify, yeah.
I like to think that actors get a bit more of a cut, but like probably not.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably pittance in the same regard. But I'm sorry, Dean. We didn't let McManus actually finish his thoughts on like how he feels about.
Cool. Yeah.
I'll cut this bit out. But like, yeah, just
no worries.
So how does it actually affect? How do you feel about it, McManus? Like, you said you were gonna subscribe anyway, but
yeah, I'll most likely subscribe to it because I'm a wrestling bitch. So because yeah, and if it's any good, then I'll keep it. But I know I'll have to get rid of another streaming service. But I'm just daunting getting like where that settings comes up. You're gonna have to pay £60 for this each year, but it's worth it. Like,
do you think? I don't know. Do you think it will be cheaper than WWE Network overall anyway?
I'm not sure.
Do you know how much that is, just out of interest? Yeah, I can cut that time. I was just looking at the actual article saying that basically beginning in January 2025, Netflix will be exclusive home to WWE's flagship weekly wrestling program in the US, Canada, UK, and Latin America, with additional countries and regions added over time. For the first time since its inception 31 years ago, Raw and WWE's weekly shows will leave linear television for streaming, which means you'll be able to watch WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Royal Rumble with just your Netflix subscription.
Because I don't see
WWE's documentaries, original series.
I don't see this boosting their numbers that much, because the only reason you would buy a big property like this is to get more subscribers. But how many people have not got Netflix who are just into wrestling? Do you know what I mean? You've probably got Netflix anyway. So if you're a wrestling fan and you've already got Netflix, you're like, great, well, I can cancel WWE Network, and now I basically just get all my wrestling on top of my Netflix for free. They're not going to give that shit to you for free. You know what I mean? There's going to be steps, I think, involved. I think it's going to change.
Tiers, yeah.
I think, because we've already been seeing a lot more like with the tiers, you know, like now you've got a different tier if you want 2 screens in the house or 4, you want HD, you know, you want, now you've got ad-free tiers and ad tiers and all of this other stuff. And this is just an evolution. I think this is going to be an evolution of that, where it's just going to be, everyone's just going to have their own customizable like Netflix streaming like packages that they can kind of and it's going to be more, and it basically, and it'll be more tailored to you as an individual, you know. But then where do you draw that line? What if you say, I subscribe to Netflix, I love Netflix, I love all the TV shows, I love the reality stuff, love Stranger Things, but I really hate horror. So can I pay less for Netflix and then just not have those categories that I don't want? If I'm going to pay more to have like a WWE category, does it go that step further? And we start like, I think there's a chance that we go down that way. I don't know. I think it's a slippery slope, and it's interesting to just see that.
I'm sorry, but
how
if
it's all
Netflix
changing.
if Netflix bring out an option to cancel categories from your Netflix account, saying because you don't want this, that is petty, and that is them grabbing for money.
I don't know, man. You say that, but I personally, I think there's a lot of categories I could do without, or happily not pay for. You know what I mean? I actually
could.
Sorry, I just wanted to say I literally just cancelled my Netflix this month because I was like, I don't watch shit on here. I watched Rebel Moon, and then I was like, do you know what? This is the first time I've had Netflix on in like 3 months.
Well, because we used to buy albums, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, like iTunes, now all of a sudden everyone's buying like just one track or a couple of different tracks. So it's like it's not really that much of a different thing to be like, okay, well, I want some of this service or some of this content. I don't want all of it. And I think it is petty, but I also think if they think there's like benefits to be reaped from it, if they think that because you cut down on that, then maybe you've got some more money to spend on something else, and then maybe that's the difference between another streaming service. I don't know.
But also, wouldn't they also look at it as them losing money as well? Because like I get they get to like set how much it's going to cost you, or how much if you want to add something to it. But it's also, imagine how much money they would also lose in the meantime if we gave everyone the option to be like, no, just one genre, fuck the rest.
And I'm just having fun with the thought process. I don't think it's necessarily going to go that far, but I'm just saying the way that things are like shifting lately. I think the streaming game is definitely changing. The movie game is changing. I think this is all interesting stuff. That's why I thought it was interesting to talk about. Not just for the naughty Vince stuff. All right. So
one other thing I totally forgot. This is another pet peeve of mine. You'll get a load of these. On WWE Network, they don't actually stream because USA have the rights, or I think it's TNT at the moment, who have the rights to SmackDown and Raw, whoever's sharing it. Like the TV show doesn't have the rights to be on WWE Network, so it'll be aired on the network a couple weeks, or if not like a month later. So that's one thing everyone would probably want. So you can have basically like you want your pay-per-views and SmackDown and Raw to come out that week. Yeah.
All right. So some of the what is that? What one network in particular, or like that doesn't?
Yeah, I think it's USA. I think they're both like they signed to USA, and I think both of them come out on I think it's Friday and Monday.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. Just to touch on that, like growing up wrestling, like I was into it, and then I kind of got out of it, and then got back into it when our family, the short period of time we had like Sky Digital, and I would watch Raw on a Friday night, or and SmackDown or whatever. But and I remember over here briefly there was a time where you could watch. I can't remember what it was. It would be on a Sunday. Do you remember it was on actual like British, like on like Channel 4 or something like that? They had like the sort of recap show, and they'd have the lesser sort of matches.
Heat.
Was it Heat?
Yeah, it's probably Channel. I think it was Channel 4 Heat. I think, or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So did you find the price on the WWE network?
Yeah, it's it's a $10 a month, and like
it's not actually that much, really, is it?
No. I mean, it's the amount of content that they're going to have. It's a whole streaming service. Like, if you rack up like how many hours of content, there's probably more on a WWE network than say like Paramount or Apple Plus have. Do you know what I mean? Like one of the smaller ones.
Through the archives.
Yeah, if you're going back through the archives, and again, that's without like, because you're going to have live stuff. You're going to have like, like you say, like you're going to have your Monday Night Raw and your Friday or Saturday Slam or whatever it is, So then that brings in a whole new element of like live scheduled kind of programming on Netflix every week. You've got those things dropping. I think it completely changes the game for them as well. And if it goes well, they're 100% going to try those release methods out with other things as well, for sure. And then we're right back at live TV again,
Yeah. Well,
potentially.
I think of the server, like how much like storage that is, like for that much content.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but I can see it being some sort of add-on price for pay-per-views, surely, right?
Yeah,
it won't just be a set price. There's going to be add-ons for those.
Oh, mate, just to show you, just the sheer magnitude. That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's going to take them about a year to upload it all.
Yeah, that's probably why.
That's what I was going to say. The sheer magnitude of the whole transfer process is going to be like a multi-million-dollar like exercise in and of itself. Plus, like you say, the servers, the infrastructure. Those poor servers are holding on like Spider-Man on the train. Like they're going to be stretched thin. And again, if there's people like streaming all these like events, and if there's like live stuff as well, like that they're going to need to seriously up their game, and they're already the biggest game anyway, you know what I mean, as far as like streaming and everything goes. And this is just, if this goes well, this will be like an absolute game changer for the whole streaming and entertainment landscape. But if it goes well, or badly should I say, there's a lot of money and there's a lot of people's careers down the drain.
Well, they've got a lot to do, because their Monday Night Raw's 1000th episode aired on July the 23rd, 2012.
1000th.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Can you imagine, like, how hard is it when you're with your lady friend, George, and you're scrolling through Netflix and you don't know what to watch, right? Now imagine it's the same. Fine, but imagine it's the same, but now there's 10,000 episodes of Monday Night Raw sprinkled in there, and you're scrolling, and it's like movie, wrestling match. They've got to figure out a way to like streamline that and separate it all, but also it still needs to be part of the same thing. So hats off to whoever's got that scheduling, logistics job or whatever, because they've got a fun time ahead. But shall we move on?
Yeah, before we do, let me just ask McManus one question about wrestling. Who is your favourite all-time wrestler, McManus?
Why you got to put me on the spot like that, George?
I didn't. I asked you the other day when we were asked.
Yeah, and that is a question I've been pondering about for the last couple of days, because I think that
is top three then. Top three.
Okay. It's got to go. I'll go from bottom to the top. So I'm going to say top three is Mick Foley.
Yeah.
It's
what character though?
Yeah.
Just making it harder.
Bang bang baby, bang bang.
Cactus Jack, right?
Yeah.
He had like 4 different like characters, didn't he?
Yeah. It was Doom Love, Mankind, Cactus Jack. What was the other one?
I don't know.
It was
just Mick Foley.
Just Mick Foley, I guess.
Yeah. Just Mick Foley.
Himself. But he didn't really himself.
Yeah, so where was I? Mick Foley.
Mick Foley.
It's got to be It's got to be The Rock and Undertaker.
Fair dues.
Fair.
But it was either between The Rock or The Game. I just had to pick The Rock because, like, me and my brother, it's during when he kicked off. Me and my brother were just magnetized to the bloke. Everything he said was hysterical. He'd just rip out lines like weren't even planned. He'd get ripped the crap out of backstage for it. Like, you weren't supposed to go out for your business for yourself. No, but it worked though. And just the Undertaker, for how much he scared me as a child.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, I'll just.
I don't really know the wrestling so much.
No, I was going to ask you, but yeah, like
you know who I like.
That stood out to you.
There is. I like Booker T. I think Booker T's fun.
Oh, Booker T.
He's still a commentator.
A couple of reasons.
I didn't even know he did that. That's
cool.
Yeah, commentating for NXT, I think. Yeah.
Few reasons that I like Booker T. He's got a great voice. He's he looks great, obviously. But like when you see him do the commentating, he seems to really like do a good job of that. Yeah. And also there's that infamous clip from him like in the 90s where he said a word that he shouldn't have done while he was doing a promo, and the man committed. I'm coming for you, man. And he and he just say that, like, you could see it on his face, but then he just slides right back into character, and he's like, "Yeah, the fuck, I said what I said." Like you get, and he also did a lot of he used to work with the Schmodown as well. When I used to watch the Schmodown, he called a few matches. He called a few matches. They filmed a couple of live matches in his he's got like his own like venue and ring and stuff in Texas, I think. I like Booker T. I like a bit of personality. I don't like the strong, silent. You know, I couldn't get on with like your Sting and your Undertaker. I need somebody with a bit more verbiage. You know.
One thing, if you're going to mention Booker T, you got to mention the can of whoop-ass he was served by Steve Austin in the shopping mall, where they caused like $11,000 worth of damage.
Oh,
that's fun.
Yeah, I seem to remember that.
And I have, Stone Cold was like the biggest wrestler when I was a kid. Like right before The Rock was like the one. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, Bret Hart. I've got to have like 10 of them. I swear, because like I said, I can't have.
Now. No, you've had your free. That's it. Shut up.
You were too soft, George. You were too soft. I would have made him pick one.
I'm just saying, it can't be done.
I would have made him pick one teddy bear from the burning building. That's all you get.
One to take with you. All right.
That's all you get.
For you, McManus, anyway, because that's my first introduction was wrestling. Was because my mum, I'm pretty sure she just fancied Bret the Hitman Hart. So we had like a VHS that had like some classic matches on it. And because he was Canadian as well, and my mum's Canadian.
Oh, okay, so that'd do
Bret the Hitman Hart was my introduction to wrestling. So he would be my number 3. Stone Cold, he was just, just that character. He was the badass.
The name says
and
he
beat the shit out of Vince McMahon multiple times. He degraded him.
Yes, that never got old. Every time we heard the glass breaking, that's it.
Yeah, that's like,
good
I know
times.
you said, Vince McMahon, like the grandfather. I never saw him like that. I just saw him as the arsehole who Stone Cold would beat up. And you would just revel in it. Like it was just the best thing ever.
Real quick.
I would say, sorry, my number one.
Number one.
The most hardcore motherfucker of all, Terry Funk. This geezer, you probably haven't heard of him so much, Dean, but he was just like hardcore.
Rest in peace.
Rough guy of it, man. He's like one of like the Mickey Rourke film. Wrestler. You might have not seen it. I don't know, but yeah, that was sort of. I don't know. It was exactly his life, but it was the sort of life that he lived. Like he was the guy who went round to the conventions years after when the industry like kind of shat on him and left him for dead.
Yeah,
and
he was still doing it into his like 50s.
One of the movies I've got on Blu-ray, like, is actually in my favorite collection because I have like a collection. I'll just sit on the side when I ever want to pick up something. That one, like the rest of them, just like it's there for whenever I look at it. It's like, oh, when do I want to watch the wrestler?
It's pretty rough watch, to be honest. It's not a fun film.
No, it is like, so I only watch it now and then, but like when I watched it, I was nearly resulted to tears because it broke my heart. But it's also like, this is what, like, and everyone's like, that's not how, like, wrestlers have fame and like fame
money.
and
Yeah, not all
like,
of them.
No,
only the ones that get movie deals or like beer sponsors.
It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Why? It's like,
well, you two both got to pick three. I only got two, right? So my third one, if we were having three each, I'm going to say Andy Kaufman. So there you go. Does that count? He was in a wrestling match. It counts.
That feud with Lawler had me in stitches, but oh
good
my
times.
God.
Good stuff. I only heard about it later, but whatever, that's fun. And also Suburban Commando. Anyone who hasn't seen Suburban Commando, do yourself a favor and watch Suburban Commando. Hulk Hogan and Christopher Lloyd. And he plays a galactic bounty hunter. It's incredible.
I haven't
do
watched
yourself
that movie
a favor.
since I was a kid.
Do yourself a favor.
Jesus.
Yeah, go and watch.
Is that where the Undertaker's one of the bounty hunters?
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't remember. I just know it's Hulk Hogan and Christopher Lloyd.
He opens his mouth and he's got the voice of a child. Just like, wow, you really sound like that.
Bad.
But now we're moving back in.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just to say, I know, like, you know, wrestling's not everyone's cup of tea, and sure, it's scripted, but like,
movies are scripted, TV scripted. Why is it less for that? Why is it less for them to do it, but it's fine for, like, you know, every reality TV show to be scripted, but it's not for them. It's fine. If you like it, go and have a fun. It's fun. Yeah. It's fun. It's just fun.
I'll say this for everyone who says, like, yeah, I get it. It's scripted. It's all determined. Yeah, but gravity's a bitch. And
and these dudes are fighting it their whole lives. They dedicate their lives to fucking up their bodies for.
Those are real bodies hitting the ground. Yeah,
that's it. It might be fake in some aspects, but that's real damage that they put themselves
that is
through.
Real people hitting real fucking people, falling on their real asses. So
and they do that because they're passionate about it, and you know, it's the same as skateboarding. It's the same as any like extreme sport. Like it's some people might argue, well, yeah, that's just stupid. Why would you want to do that to yourself? But it's like, you know,
why not?
It's the same thing as football.
If you grow up loving something, you're going to do it, aren't you? So.
Exactly. And yeah, these guys are next level passionate about it, and they dedicate their lives to it. And Terry Funk is like one of those characters, or you know, one of those real guys beyond the character who, you know, really put himself through the ringer for it. But yeah, that's all I got to say about wrestling.
No, well said. No, I appreciate that. I think, because I do think people, and again, I'm not into it, but you know, I'm not going to like punch on it because I think it's valid, and you know, it's going to be interesting.
Just one thing, I've also got to say, I didn't mention Bray Wyatt, and wrestling fans are going to kill me for that.
You get three. You get three.
You got three. You got
three. The other teddies, they're melting. The eyeballs are melting. So
needed a mention.
R.I.P. Teddy Bear, you're melting in the building. Okay, I'm sorry, you're on fire. He didn't pick you. Your memory will not be in vain, good sir.
All right. So should we go to some more to our one movie pick?
To our one movie. So talking about good sirs and maybe some bad sirs. All right. Yeah. This movie came out late last year. Dropped on Amazon Prime. Again, shout out my mate Jeff, he's struggling. And and the movie, did I say the movie was Saltburn? And we all watched it. I said, George, this might not necessarily be your cup of tea, but I think you're going to enjoy this. I think there's some fun stuff to be had. I think we're going to talk about it. It's going to be great. I think also maybe it's a good movie. Watch to the end of the review and you'll find out. And then when McManus was coming on, we was like, oh, well, we could talk about wrestling and the trailers, and we're going to talk about Saltburn. It's like, well, I just fucking happened to watch that, didn't I? And then not only that, he watched it again coming in for today. So we're all Saltburned and ready to fucking
I'm
get
good
salty. Absolutely. So this movie coming a fairly standard sort of coming of age, you know, typical young, slightly special, attractive person gets taken under the wing of like this like fringe or niche kind of society that you're not familiar with. You go on a journey of self-discovery. Maybe it all blows up in your face and those relationships fall to the dust. Maybe you learn some healthy stuff and you develop and you move on and you graduate from Oxford University. Maybe. But this is Barry Keoghan coming in, starring, I should say, directed by Emerald Fennell. Supporting cast, you've got Richard E. Grant, Rosamund Pike, Jacob E. Lordy, Alison Oliver, and Archie Madekwe. And that's pretty much the whole cast. There's not a lot. There's a lot of like background players in the first like third of this movie. I tell you now, guys, I saw the trailer for this movie like so many times. This trailer at my theater, they were putting this in front of fucking everything. And eventually I'm just like, I don't even know if I want to see this. I'm like, I'm so burned out. Cut to the movie's been out. You start hearing things. People are talking. I'm hearing bathtub jokes. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Do I smell? Is it directed at me? No, they're talking about Saltburn. And it turns out that this movie had a little bit more subversiveness than just, you know, boy meets girl, goes on adventure into new world, etc. So I think it's a fairly standard, you could say generic kind of storyline. But man, is this film carry. This is, I don't know about you, we'll get your thoughts in a second. I thought this was so engaging. I thought it was shot, you know, it wasn't shot like super like flashy, but it was just really nicely, really solidly shot, really well made. The script is tight. And Barry Keoghan, who's like been a rising force for the last few years now, is really proving himself and climbing his way up the ranks, I think, rightly so. So George, I'm on at you for the last like 2 weeks. You got to watch this movie. We want to talk about this movie. You eventually watch it. What are your kind of thoughts going in?
I want my man to talk about it first.
Oh God.
Well, we have the power of defer, everybody. That's a new card we're not playing. So go on then, McManus. You start watching this film. What did you know about this film going into it? What got you to watch it, and what were your kind of overall thoughts?
Heard nothing about it until literally scrolling across Prime, and it just says Saltburn, that with the font it has. It just says it's new. I'll try that at some point when I've got nothing to watch. And then I go through TikTok, and it's just Saltburn. Oh, I've got my parents to watch Saltburn. Oh, I've watched my parents to watch this, and it's this adult like parents just going, "Oh, you dirty bastard," and just having the best reactions. Is like
TikTok reactions.
Yeah, and the reactions are just priceless. And I was like, "What are they watching?" And I was just sort of Saltburn. Like, okay, fine, I've had enough of this. I'm gonna make some time when I'm on my own to have the kids.
Yeah,
I'll sit there and watch it to myself. Straight off the bat, reminded me of Skins. It just had the way it's filmed, and it's just the way it starts just reminded me of how everyone is in Skins.
Yeah. And I think Skins probably came out around about the time that this film is set, because I didn't know this going in. I'll just say this real quick before we go back to you, George, is that I wasn't aware that this was like a period piece, but one of those period pieces where it's set like, you know, a decade or, you know, just a few years before, you know, current time. So this movie's set in 2006. And I think that's probably about the time that Skins was on TV. There's a lot of references in this. You know, there's like the pop music of the time. You know, it's Flow Rider and Apple Bottom Jeans. You know, they're watching Superbad. You know,
they sit there, they all
flip
get,
phones. Yeah,
they all get freaked out at the ring.
The ring. There's no social media, and I think it's not like an obvious thing that needed to be in this movie. But I'm glad that it was, because I thought it was just, I don't know. Sometimes you can solve things too easily, especially with these kind of like social like thrillers as well. It's like you could probably solve most of this if you had Facebook, right? But anyway, George, you're going into this movie.
Tell us his thoughts.
I thought he just told us his thoughts.
No, he just told us what he saw on TikTok. That was it. He didn't get into his actual thoughts of the film.
Well,
so yeah,
McManus, why don't you clarify what you think your thoughts are, and do TikTok reactions count as thoughts, and then you tell us what yours are.
Yeah, but then he didn't actually tell him what he thought of it.
Like,
didn't get to the point of him actually watching it.
I kind of got like, it got to like halfway through the movie. It's like, oh, what is this like? Is there? So is he gonna? Yeah. Is he honestly innocent? Is he just that insecure? Is he like truly just a fuck up? And then like, I was like, oh, they're gonna eat him for fucking lunch, aren't they? And like, oh,
yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily go that way.
Sorry. Before we get to spoilers, yeah, just like if you can summarize like without spoilers, that is interesting, because I had a similar thought process. But yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, and well, just the movie. I was thoroughly impressed with it. Like the way it made me feel is like I don't think a movie since Centipede 2 or Centipede 2 never made me hasn't made me feel like that to watch a movie, and like this movie just went whew, there you go. You haven't felt like that in a while. I was like, I don't think I needed to.
You need to be taken out your comfort zone every now and then, for sure, and this does do that.
True. I mean, felt like definitely does that. Yeah. That was a comparison I would never have suspected.
I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah,
sorry.
no, that's cool. I like to hear different.
So, what are your thoughts on McManus's thoughts? And then tell us your thoughts about the movie.
Well, my thoughts was it's just because he just said all right about skins, and that's as far as he got before you interjected. Not just saying like I wanted to hear his overall thoughts before we get to spoilers.
Yeah, no, I did cut him off a little bit because I was worried that he was going to start like spoiling the movie. So I was like, just like,
I am trying not to. I honestly am.
We'll get there. There's stuff that you want to talk about in this movie, and we'll get to it. But before that,
100%.
But before
that's
that,
generally how we go.
It gave off like the vibe of Skins, where they're all partying, and like you can tell this guy's trying to work his way in, be like with the crowd. Can he fit in? Like, can he be one of them? And it's just like, and I knew like by the beginning of this, like I think someone in here is going to have an ulterior motive, and then some girl's going to come along and try and do his mind in, have their way, and be like, I've done this.
Yeah. But not necessarily everything in that way plays out how you might necessarily get in one of these movies. I think, some of the things it follows the formula, some of the things it flips them around a little bit, and that's all good and well. So, George, you're finally sitting down to watch this movie. How far are you? Are you regretting it?
Right. So I started watching it Friday. I got like 50 minutes in. I know there's a particular scene that we talked about, because there's the one scene that everyone was talking about, and then I saw the other scene and I was like, this is and then that other scene not long after, like, I was like, that's far more subversive than that thing. And then I was like, right, well, I haven't got time to watch it all, so I'll finish it before we plan to have this discussion. And then I watched it with my girlfriend last night, and then it's funny because she said the same thing when it got to like halfway through, or not even halfway through. This is just like Skins with more tops. And I was just like, yeah. And I had to admit, like the first bit, I was like, yeah, this is just like Skins. And then when we get to, the character Felix's family, I was dying with laughter for a second there with just some of the vernacular from the family and stuff, like just like ghastly Russian billionaire and stuff like
Richard
that.
E. Grant.
And Richard E. Grant, he's great.
I told you, he's a fantastic arsehole and even a better fucking villain. And the way he's like Pompey in most of his movies just makes you like him more because he's just that kind of person. Well, it's just my preference on him, I guess.
But there's no malice in him in this. Like to be honest, all of the family, because you're going in, you're like, okay, so it's going to be a typical case of like these bastard rich people that like bring in this like naive, younger person, make him feel like he's the king of the world, and then it's all going to come crashing down. But contrary to that, like Richard E. Grant and Rosamund Pike, they're fairly nice and simple, considering like they're these like aristocrats with this land and this power and this like ridiculous mountains of wealth. But they're just like so basic. They just want to hang out and like eat lasagna or whatever it is, like, and watch like whatever movie's popular that week. I almost thought that's where it was misleading. I was like, they're caricaturishly simple. I was like, it's almost like misleadingly simple. Like, there's got to be something afoot here, like with a lot of these kind of movies. But overall, George, you're like, I'm glad we're watching this. Like, I'm digging the vibe. Before it starts getting weird, are you into it?
Kinda was. And then I was like, okay, I was kind of like my manners. So I was like, they brought this guy in, and then when the sister, she was like, oh, I think I like you even better than the last one. And I was like, oh, what does that mean?
Yeah,
like, what happened to the last one? And then, and then things start to unravel. And this is the only thing, Dean, where you said that comparison of like, this is like kind of like a modern day American Beauty. I was like, oh, right, that's like a kind of high praise. And then as it unraveled and started to get weirder and weirder, I was just like, I don't know. I can't put it on that level. That's what I'm going to say.
I don't think it hits those levels, but I think it's definitely in that vibe for sure. I don't think this movie I don't think it dials the weirdness up enough, and it doesn't do anything. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some stuff in here, but I don't think, like, in terms of the content and the motivations or the actions of some of the characters is pretty weird, but I just don't think the movie making itself was weird to like match that level. No. I would have liked it to have been a bit more like, and the trailer kind of paints it as being much more of like a almost surreal kind of, very like heady kind of experience, and it doesn't it's much less like neon lights and swirly cameras than you think you're going to get, which I'm not saying is necessarily a bad thing to not have those things, but and we don't even get to Saltburn for like a good like 35 minutes in. I'm like, this place that the movie is named after, like, what's going on? It's just like, and I was engaged. I tell you what got me hooked is when he's first at the university and he's making friends with the other nerd guy, and he's like, I'm the best at maths. Nobody does maths like I can. Nice to meet you.
Ask me a sum.
Ask me a sum. And he's like, I don't know. I don't really want to. Ask me a fucking sum. Oh, man. And just like, this is a guy who knows what's up. And I feel like we kind of know where it's going with him, right? We're kind of like, well, he makes friends with him up top. That's probably not going to be the friendship that carries through the movie, which brings us to our man Felix himself. I want to see if you two agree with me, because so much of this movie is hooked around this guy. He's so rich, he's so good looking, he's so mysterious and friendly and lovely and captivating. Everyone wants to be around this guy, everyone wants to be him, everyone wants to fuck him. And I feel like the only reason we get the sense of that is because all the characters tell us. I don't feel it from Felix himself. There's not enough there for me to grab onto. And he's good and he's nice. I just didn't feel like there was anything really of his character to like really hook into and get like obsessed with, you know?
Well, yeah, it's funny. Well, I just want to say, like, I didn't see a trailer at all for this. It's funny you say that, like you saw it so many times. I didn't see it at all. My first, first thing I heard of this was some like younger girls at work who like in their early 20s. I overheard them talking, and they were trying to like sell it to Gav, who's like, he's like, oh yeah, I just can't watch anything in this modern day and age, just being typical Gav.
It's funny you should mention Gav. Do you get a Gav like vibe from the main guy in this film?
What, Felix? Oh no, from what?
From Barry Keoghan, yeah. Do you feel like this is completely irrelevant to anyone watching this? Oliver. But
Oliver, sorry. The only thing is that maybe the eyes.
He's got the eyes. He's got the Gav eyes.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're watching Gav, you've got wonderful eyes. Moving on.
Yeah. Such beautiful eyes. Oh my god.
Beautiful eyes.
Yeah, but yeah.
So they're selling in the movie. They're trying to sell him the movie.
Yeah, and then like all I heard was, it's a boy who she kind of let a bit of the cat out of the bag, or she just said, "Oh, it turns out he's not who he says he is," and like
that's so when you
but when you start learning about his family, let's get into spoilers now, right? So you start learning. He says, "Oh, my mum's drunk. My dad just died because you can tell he's developed some feelings for Felix or whatever."
He keeps saying throughout the movie, like, I wasn't in love with him, but I loved him.
Yeah, because you got.
He wanted to do anything to get into this circle, including lying about his family.
Yeah. This is another thing, and I don't want to jump to the end. I won't jump to the end, but that I forget. There's it's like not a talking head interview, but it's similar to that, where you have the character, the protagonist, antagonist, the main characters talking about the events,
and he monologues,
retrospectively.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the correct term? Sorry.
Yeah. So he's going over, yeah,
and so he's talking about it, slowly revealing more and more, and then you see him obviously developing feelings for this guy or whatever.
But was he though?
Well, he says, I wasn't in love with him, but I loved him, blah, blah, blah. And then he starts to become friends with him. And then, Felix is like, he shows slight less interest. And then he tells him that, comes to him like crying, saying, my dad's
dead. Yeah.
And, this and that. And then he's like, oh, you've had such a shit time, so come back with my family. And then that's when stuff starts to get weird when he's at the house. Obviously, he drinks the bath water, which is the scene that everyone fucking, was talking about.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't just drink any bath water, does he? He drinks bath water that he's just been tossed in the sun.
I mean, let's be honest, though. I mean, the percentage, the ratio of bathwater to jizz, right, is so high you wouldn't even know it was in there. All right, that bathwater is still. I guarantee you that bathwater is still cleaner than your kitchen counter right now. I bet you fucking money on it.
I don't know about that.
So
maybe
I'm not going to judge.
Salt content, depending on your diet.
Yeah.
And that works both ways as well, because
okay, so here's the thing. So we get the reveal. He's like, we're going to go to see your mum. We're going to sort all this out after he's been living there for like a while, right? And everyone's having a great time. The other friend is being really shitty to him, who I think is really good in this movie. what's his name?
He's the cousin of Felix, right? Who's
Yeah.
I just got to bring up one other character who's a like kind of non-sequential character, but he's played by Reese Shearsmith. I don't know if you recognised him from League of Gentlemen.
He's from League of Gentlemen. He's the
he played the
professor at the beginning. Yeah.
And then you see oh god, what's his name? The cousin. So he's
right. So the actor is Archie Farley. Yeah. The actor is Archie Madekwe, and who the whole time you're like, well, he's not happy, and you kind of feel like he's the one that she's referring to, and she says, I like you more than the last one. I almost kind of got like that's him, and she's talking about him because he's always shit stirring, because he's basically he might not be.
I thought, initially I thought something like the manners. I thought that it was a bit more malicious. They had someone come, Felix brought a friend, something weird happened with them, maybe they killed him. I didn't think maybe they ate him. That's a bit it could have been possible though. I knew someone's gonna die, right? I knew at least one person's gonna die here. Something's gonna happen. Something fucked up.
If they weren't dead already, I had that vibe of like, who's that? It was like, you don't
any
know,
moment it could have been like one of it's like just one of these characters is just walking around an empty mansion or something. Like you start looking for
and the mansion's that big enough you could hide one of your dead friends in the wall and no one would give a fuck. Because it could have been the creepy not the waiter, the
Duncan, was it like the main guy in the staff? I thought he was going to be in it or something at the end.
He annoyed me. He was way too like, he was like something out of Clue. Like, we're gonna do this creepy, stern old fucking butler who's like all like like a big walking corpse.
One of the party scenes when there's like a naked woman next to him.
But you think going into this, you're like, okay, this is gonna be the rich are doing something nefarious. They're gonna sucker in this like nobody, and they're gonna take advantage, and it's all gonna end badly. And then obviously the big plot twist is that no, his parents aren't alcoholics. They aren't, his dad's not dead. So he's been lying this whole time.
Yep.
And he just wants to. So now you take out the sympathy element. And it's like this dude just wants to get in. He just wants to be a part of this world, right? This society.
That became so cringe so quickly, that scene. Like and he's just sitting there like, oh yeah.
He's playing along like, I've got to say, as soon as they were in the car and they're singing like Mr. Brightside or whatever, and then I'm like, he's like, I've got a surprise for you, and I'm like, and then you see the road sign that says Preston. I was like, and then you see him freaking out. I'm like, he's been bullshitting the whole time.
I think
and he turned
very
up, like,
predictable.
Nice
I think.
Yeah, that part was very predictable.
It was
sorry, you just breezed over a fact, and that's the fucking weird scene that made me like just be like, oh, what? And they were talking about the bathwater with the sister.
With the
vampire thing.
Ties in, So it's very predictable, a lot of it. But I think what makes it so impactful is how real it's played. Even in like from that scene with the parents at the house to then the scene with the vampire stuff, and just the matter of factness. Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, just the way both of them were played was like the same level of like intensity. You know what I mean? I thought that was effective, because you're like, is that heightened, or have they just really subdued the other one? It was kind of like a little bit.
It's also known that Barry Keoghan was in some scenes given like go on, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to do this in this scene? Like, what are you going to do in this scene? And he was just given free rein in most scenes, which most of them, like, you come to see, are the ones near the end of the movie. And it's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go.
This is 100% him. This movie is just 100% a vehicle for him to like show like how good he is. Like, I don't think everyone else is just supporting, like, in the truest sense,
can I just say, once it got past the point that it revealed that he wasn't who he said he was.
Yeah,
he's definitely a pathological liar. Like, he's a sociopath. He's tried it on with, he's done things with his sister, and he's lied to the brother who he supposedly loves. When it gets to that point and you're like, all right, I had to admit, I'm like, okay, this is running a bit long now for me personally. And I was just like,
yeah,
someone's got to die. I was like, something's got to happen now. And then when he dies, when Felix dies, the first death, you're like, okay. And then, like, they're having the dinner, that awkward dinner scene.
yeah.
And, like, they're all like, the parents are trying to pretend like nothing's happened. And then they have let's close the curtains while they wheel the corpse past. And I was just like, sorry, can I just finish this?
Yeah.
I was just like, when it got to that point, and I'm just like, how is he still there? This is weird. And I think everyone at that point's like, wants to know, right? They want to know, did he kill him?
Yeah.
Pretty sure he killed him. How did he die? Obviously, it's written that way to the revelation. It slowly unravels itself.
But
sorry, I'll carry on with your thoughts, because I just
they didn't even like. I think that they're a little bit too obtuse, to be honest, at that point. Because I'm like, these people just bury their head in the sand. They don't even seem to really ask him. Like, you're a dude.
They're in denial.
Yeah. You're a dude. Not only are they in denial about his death, which he probably explains why they don't even ask, but I don't know if you could accredit that to everything, because you're a dude who nobody knew. You come in from summer at university, you've befriended everyone for the first time, and then you go into the middle of a maze with their son, and then only one of you comes out, and now you're all fucking feet under the table, and they don't see that at all.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I thought
the sister kind of sees it, right? Because she confronts him in that bath scene, right? But, like, I mean,
but nobody does anything about it.
No,
they
don't.
all just see it happening right in front of their face, and I'm not sure if that's intentional, where it's just like these rich people are so, like, conceited and so vapid and so dumb because they've got, like, they're so, like, out of touch with society, that means it does open the way for people to come in and eat the rich and manipulate them and take advantage. And it's just this whole thing of, like, these are just like empty billionaires. They're not famous, they're not talented, they don't own a business, they didn't do anything.
Money. They're born into money.
Go on.
Sorry, no, I was just going to bring the exact same thing up. When you see Richard D, right, when they find Felix's body, right, and the first thing Richard D. Grant's character comes up is just go,
just got to warm him up,
just got to warm him up. That's all. My poor chap. Like, he's fucking dead, mate. Like, he's dead, and like, it's like they like. The clogs are turning, but no one's home. Like, you just
that's what they say. There's a lot of the stages of grief. There's shock, then there's denial, and then I can't remember I think there's another one before acceptance.
There's a bunch of other ones. It's fine.
And everyone, it's not the same for everyone. And obviously, the parents are like, they're just trying to, like you say, bury their heads in the sand. But once it gets past, I mean, this is where it fell apart for me. Just right there, I was waiting for the end because I knew it's not going to all get revealed right away. And as it unravels itself, it gets more extreme. But, like, the fact that they're so rich, they're so, if your son died like that, and the way it's revealed, spoilers, how he dies, you think a toxicology report would show something like that for a start.
There's a lot of ignorance, not just from the family, like a whole lot. They skirt over a lot of, like, what I would consider to be vital details, and I don't think it's being nitpicky to expect some of that stuff. They should have addressed more. I mean, I say that they should have addressed more of it. I also think that the whole big reveal at the end, I think that's what ruins the movie, because I think you're wondering the whole time, you know, is he like, is he just worming his way in with his family because he just wants to be part of something, you know, bigger than himself and, you know, money and all this stuff. And if I was making that movie, I would never have revealed that, because the whole flashback scene at the end, he punctured the tire, he fucking he orchestrated the whole thing. I'm like, that was just too much. Like, I think if you would just left the audience wondering if
that would have
he
driven
just
me
happened.
Nuts,
No, because then it's a case of because if you didn't find out that he,
fuck you.
if you didn't find out that he. If you didn't find out that he set up any of that stuff on purpose, then you could make the case of, oh, well, maybe he just fell into this position in the same way like that they did. And it's a commentary on that. But then they flip it the other way. And it's like, he's like evil and crazy and he's planned everything. But then it's like, did he plan his way into the university, into the same class as this guy? How did he know about the, like... And then you factor in all the stuff with the police stuff. And here's another one, right? Farley looks out the window in the middle of the night and he sees him fingering Felix's sister, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly. Yet then a couple of weeks later, he goes out there in the middle of the daytime and he fucks a grave.
No one sees that.
He fucks a grave. A freshly filled grave in the middle of the day in the rain, and fucking creepy fucking butler man didn't see that now, or nobody saw that.
While crying in the grave while he does it at the same time, so he's fucking and crying at the same time.
Grinding, he's crying, and I think it's a fun scene. And I do think that, and it does add to it.
Barrel of laughs.
Absolutely barrel of laughs. You know what I mean? No, but I think I don't say it's a fun. I think it's an effective scene in and of itself, but too much around it starts falling apart. And I think I think this movie's good. I don't think it's great. I think it came really close to like.
By the time
it could have taken.
But by the time the grave fucking scene's done, you're like, okay, I'm done now. It's like, great movie. Where are we going to go from this?
Yeah, and you're just like what George said. I think you're just hanging on, like almost as like a courtessy. Like, well, I've kind of got to just know.
I've got to know what happens now.
The details of how this wraps up.
This long. That's the only thing. If it was shorter, it was just a bit long in the tooth. And I think because it got overhyped. I don't want to say overhyped. It's definitely effective. The strong points. I say I only found out today. Like, it was shot on 35mm. It does look amazing. Like, it does look very good. The locations, obviously Oxford. Apparently that the house, Drayton House, that's the first time it's been on film. And lots of people have been mobbing the place now because they're like, oh, want to see the location.
Throwing pizzas on the roof like Breaking Bad.
Fucking graves in the garden. Digging graves.
Just, you go out there and it's just like a mini golf course. Just holes everywhere.
No, instead of keep off the grass signs, it's like keep your dick out the graves.
Keep out of the grass. Do not. Please do not feed the ducks. Please do not fuck the graves. But no, I think this director, she's directed 2 other movies before this one. So I think, like, if you're hitting this level, like on your 3rd movie, this is definitely somebody to look out for. Her next movie, by the way, is called Ballerina, and that's a John Wick spin-off. This woman, his next movie is a John Wick spin-off. So keep an eye out for that. That's the Ballerina movie starring Ana de Armas, I think is how you say her name. I don't think this movie is great. I think elements of it came close to greatness. And And like you said, it definitely, there's a couple of very key points in which it kind of lets itself down. Anyone else got anything else to say before we rate it and get on out, or are we missing anything key about this movie? Oh, fourth subversive scene, everyone. You know, not very often you get male rape scene in a movie, but that's basically what we got. Where Farley wakes up in the middle of the night and he's sitting on his lap and he's like, "We're not going to have any problems, are we?" What a power move, right? Because it's not even him. It's not even him doing it the normal aggressive way. It's the other way. It's like, you better do what I'm saying or you're going to fuck me. Like, wait, what? Where's the bad part? You know, like... I kid. You know, it's just because he's giving, not receiving, doesn't make it any less like not consensual, and it's definitely weird. But yeah, I think he was.
Go on, sorry, that's a very subjective point of contention there, because I know, like, the scene prior is the one I mentioned. We weren't recording, like I said, about the karaoke thing. He makes a fool of him. That was
a dick. He should have seen where that was coming. The name of the song and the first line of the song, he should have just looked at that and be like, "No, I'm not doing that." The fact that he saw it through that long.
I mean, he literally like turned it on him. He was like, "This is your song too." And if anything, he's right, because he was like, "Oh, paying your rent." He'd been there the whole time, mooching off the family or whatever. But I mean, it does kind of read rapey. I didn't initially. I was like, "Yeah, that's fucked up."
It's a reverse power rape. Is what it is. It's like, I don't know what else to call it. I don't know what else to call it. But you know what I mean, though. You know what I'm saying. That's the, like, look him in the eye and put them in your ass and you blackmail them. What? Like,
that's when you put it that way, it's a bit fucked, isn't it?
When you get to that point, you're like, this is a different kind of person than we like. Like, at that point, I'm just like, gloves are off. And I'm not saying I wanted more of that specifically, but I just think more of that, like, weirdness, both in terms of, like, you know, like weird power moves with the character, and also like weird power moves in terms of like the direction and like the, you know, some more flashy. I think they're being a bit too reserved. And I think you could definitely do more visually, even though it did look beautiful and it was very solidly like made. Like, I just think because it was such a basic, when you really break it down, the story was just so basic. I would have liked some of that flair to come from some of the other places. And Barry Keoghan, obviously, fantastic, absolute powerhouse performance. He commits. He commits.
Really
and that one take fucking dance scene at the end, one of my favorite songs of all time, Murder on the Dance Floor. I was loving that.
I bet,
go on, man. Those final thoughts.
I bet you were loving that, Dean, because everyone just wanting to watch his dick flying about the cinema. Right? That's just one thing you want to do. It goes back to Dr. Manhattan again. I went and saw that, and I went to see The Watchmen in IMAX. No one needs to see a 30-meter blue dick, and no one needs to see, like, no, it's part of the end of the movie, but that guy was
murder me on the dance floor with that big dad. Murder me on the dance floor with that big daddy dick. That's what I'm saying. Like,
that thing was fucking swinging. Like, just
let's have it, mate. Let's fucking have it. And
but the crescendo, right? I thought the crescendo, was where you got the opera move. Like, when he was talking, I was like, oh, I guess he's in prison then, or he's talking to a therapist.
Yeah, that's what
I thought he was going to be talking. I thought he was talking to a lawyer, like Social Network. I thought it was going to be a court case or a lawyer or something.
That's another thing that kind of left me cold on that. But yeah, I'm not to say it felt like it insulted my intelligence, because I don't have much intelligence to start with. But no, like it just seemed like a bit far-fetched, even though it was like you say, it's basic. I wouldn't say it's totally basic, like
but the
way it was revealed,
it's very on the nose. Yeah.
he crawls on top of the bed, and with if you notice, the opera music rises, and the crescendo just hits where he just goes, whoom, like with the air tube out of her neck. And it's just like, and then
I reckon,
the dancing fucking scene.
and this is going to sound like arrogant or pretentious, or whatever. I think if you don't watch a lot of, like, you know, you see the Oscar nominations and you're like, I don't watch those movies. I haven't seen those movies. Or if you see like the movie festival lineups, and if you don't normally do that kind of stuff, if you're like, I watch big movies like action, horror, you know, comedies, whatever. And I think this is a good entry level for, like, you know what I mean? For like a sort of different kind of, like a more slower kind of, more subdued kind of, like, you know, quote unquote, like awards kind of movie. I think this is a really good entry level. If you don't normally watch like this kind of stuff, I think it's palatable, but also, you know, it does push a few boundaries, and the dialogue's great. The characters are great. I think there's a lot to be gained from watching this movie. I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 grave holes. Is where I'm sitting. 3 out of 5 grave holes. I think that's respectable. I think it's solid, but not groundbreaking. Could have been, you know, a couple of things here and there. This could have been like a 4.5. You know, this could have been really cool, but it was enjoyable time.
Than that, to be fair.
But no, I'm sticking with the 3. I think it's really solid. I think it's engaging, but it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna blow your head completely off. I just think it's a good time and it's interesting. So, anyone else want to rate this before we wrap up?
Go on, my man.
I'd say, yeah, like it kind of seems if they put any more like stuff they put in the movie, it would just kind of leave you like, well, fuck, I don't need to watch that ever again. That's done my head in. Or in like, it would take away from the movie because they tried to put in too much shit. But I think, I think it's fine for how like it is. It could have been more disgusting, but who the fuck wants that? So I think it was like it did its job, to be honest. And I say I enjoyed it. Like I didn't enjoy it that much because like, I'm not a weirdo, but yeah, I liked it. I liked it because it definitely took me out of my comfort zone, and it was something different because a lot of movies have felt very samey lately, and it feels like people have had enough of it, and people are just trying nowadays.
So, what's your rating?
Out of 5, McManus.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
You can go 3.5 or 2.5. It doesn't have to be on the.
I'm going to be at 3.5 because at 4 or 5 you're getting into perfect territory, and it's like
3.5.
Oh.
And then George, what are you going?
Yeah, I'll just say some closing thoughts as well. Like, if it wasn't for the hype, and the length of it, it would get a higher mark for me.
If it weren't for the hype, I wouldn't have like gone to actually watch it.
Out, probably.
No, it would have been stayed on there.
Yeah, if I would have just stumbled on this on streaming,
to be honest.
That's what I mean, and that's the fact. I knew that was the case. Is that I had to build it up to get you to watch it, because if I didn't, you probably wouldn't. And I think there is merit in it. I think this is a good conversation. But
definitely.
What are you saying?
Yeah, we wouldn't. You know, I'm gonna go for rating 2.5 tampon lollipops.
2.5 tampon lollipops. Happy days.
Or vampire facials, whatever you want to call it.
Love a vampire facial. You know, or as Vin Diesel calls it, a bloodshot. So, anyway, on that note, that's Saltburn, everyone. We're glad that we watched that. I'm glad that we watched that. And anything else we got going on before we get out here? You've been watching anything else? Are you going to watch anything else? Anything else you want to chat about before we all go home?
Well, I've got a couple. I'm going to watch this new one. It's got an 8.1 on IMDb. It's Masters of the Sky. It looks like it takes place in the Second World War, about about fighter pilots in the Second World War. It's got the Austin Butler in it, from who played Elvis this year.
Thank you very much.
It's an Apple TV show. Well, I think it's a movie, but yeah, it's the next thing I'll be watching.
Nice one.
Cool.
Can't believe IMDb gave it 8.1 grave holes. That's so weird. But go on. And what's the other one? Did you say there was another one?
Oh, and I'm looking forward to Dune Part 2. Or June Part 2.
Good choice. Dune or June.
Just reading that book, or the first book at the moment. So
yeah, it's ridiculously long.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there's a shitload more books, but
yeah,
man, yeah.
You had some Rex, didn't you, George?
I mostly old stuff, to be honest, man. Like, I've watched quite a lot of stuff in the last week. I watched Killers of the Flower Moon finally.
Yeah,
I'd say it's a Scorsese film. It's very long, but
it's definitely is a Scorsese movie. Yeah,
it's effective. Very frowny, lots of frowning faces. But I don't know, man. Like, most of the stuff I watched is like older. I watched a really strange film, Mexican film on Arrow channel on Prime.
Yeah.
It was so good. I've forgotten the name of it already.
Watch this space. We'll mention it next week.
There you go.
The Untamed. He got there, everyone, in the clinch.
If you like some fucking weird extraterrestrial, I would say body horror, like some pretty racy, messed up stuff. Yeah. That's one for
Happy days. That's what we like. That's what we're all about.
Yeah. Other than
and
that,
meanwhile,
old films. So we'll talk about them. We'll talk about them. I'll give you a list of the stuff I've watched.
We'll mention some stuff.
Oh, there is a Mexican horror movie I saw on Netflix that came out in 2004. I thought it's absolutely ridiculous and brilliant at the same time. These holiday makers go to Mexico and they for some reason, like, they end up camping on top of this one of them ancient, like, Mexican temples. Turns out the shrubbery around them is cannibalistic. So everyone who's been going up sleeping on this or camping on this place has been eaten by the shrubbery while they're going to sleep, and everyone who goes up there can't come down because they get infected by the leaves. So everyone who comes down, I'll have to send you a message.
I'm going to find. Please do. We'll find this. I need to see the cannibalistic shrubbery movie. I mean, just call it cannibalistic shrubbery. I'm all about it. Kind of sounds like The Happening.
If it eats humans.
It's like Eli Roth does The Happening. Or something.
It really is up Eli Roth's road of kind of fucked up movie.
All right.
Oh man, we'll check that out for sure. Maybe you'll come on and talk about Dune when that comes out, because we're going to talk about that. George is reading them books. I don't really know anything about Dune.
I might go to Colchester to watch it because it's just one of them movies.
Yeah, you want to give it that extra little. Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm watching Fargo, if anyone cares. I'm on season 4.
Yeah.
Chris Rock is great. It's slow moving. I'm only like 3 episodes in, so if anyone knows Fargo, it's like you don't really get a good grip on where the plot's going, probably for like the first half of the season. Episode 3 and we're still introducing new characters. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Pick it up. But
most of the other series, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm joking. I like it. I like it. So far it's playing much more like season 2. Whereas I feel like season 1 and season 3 kind of felt like very tonally similar, and this one kind of feels like more like season 2, maybe because it's a period thing, you know, maybe it's just the pace of it, you know. But I'm enjoying that. I'm on the road to season 5, which just came out, so I'm gonna be checking that out when I get there. Maybe I'll have more thoughts on it if we've got nothing else to talk about that week, or if I can't force these guys to watch a dude fuck a grave. So on that note, we'll see everyone. Thank you very much for coming on, Dan. This has been fun. I'm glad you got to be our first guest. You was our first guest. Hopefully many more in the future, and hopefully you again many times as well. And hopefully you will all watch us and like us and validate us via subscriptions and comments and all that good stuff down there with the bells. And we will see you all next week. Ta-ta.
Peace.
Peace.